Namaste. I want to teach you how to really read people's minds the Vedic way. And I'm not talking about, reading the energy of a room when you walk in. I'm not talking about the version that most people think that they're already doing. Because what most people call reading people, reading energy, it's just their own judgment, their own impressions filtered entirely through their ego and their experience. That's not reading people. I'd say that's reading yourself with someone else's face on it. Real mind reading, when that power is activated, cultivated, nurtured, you'll be able to know the person's past, present, and future. This is the kind the ancient Vedic rishis practiced with precision. And this is one of the 8 great powers of the Vedic tradition, which is the Siddhis. But the one I want to talk about today is Siddhi number 5, which is called Prapti. Prapti comes from the Sanskrit root of prapta, which is to reach, to attain, to access. The outer description of Prapti is the ability to touch the moon with your fingertip. That means to reach any realm, any dimension. But the inner reality of Prapti, the power that opens in a purified consciousness, is the ability of your awareness to reach into any mind. The Bhagavad Purana called it parachittajñānam, which means knowing the minds of others. It's not guessing, and it's not analyzing with hardcore data. Knowing. True gurus have this power. A realized teacher meets someone for the first time, and without asking many questions, they already know. I'm not talking about your name or the place you came from. I'm not talking about that. But they know. They know what this person is carrying. They know what formed this particular shape of pain in you. They know where you're stuck right now. And they know what needs to happen next. This is a trained field of awareness, where the guru's mind is still, clear, and empty enough to directly receive the contents of another person's consciousness. The Bhagavad Purana describes this as Trikalanayatvam, which is knowing the past, present, and future And they are the same power. Because when you truly receive what is moving in a person, the past that shaped it becomes visible. And the trajectory forward becomes visible. Definitely not guessing. But it comes as the natural consequence of seeing clearly. Reading the energy of a person or the energy of a room is not Prapti power. As a matter of fact, any animal or even insects are able to do that because it comes out of survival. Because we do that for our own safety. But knowing a person's mind and his trajectory is different. So, why can't most people do this? That's because their own mind is completely in the way. Think about what's happening inside you at any given moment inside your mind. There's a constant storm. Thoughts rising, reactions forming before you've finished listening to someone. And this is a big one. Judgment. Judgments about what this person is like, what they mean. When you're judging someone, you will not be able to read their mind. Because most of the time, you don't even realize this is happening. The judging feels like you're thinking. It feels like you're using your intelligence, your perception. But it's just noise. And through that noise, you cannot always know what is in anyone else's mind. Your mental field is already full of your content. When you meet someone, two things are happening inside your mind. Two things. The first is asmita in Sanskrit. That means your own self-image. The fixed picture your mind locks onto about who you are. I'm this kind of person. I see the world this way. That picture creates constant movement in your mind. Because the world keeps challenging it. And the mind scrambles and tries to defend it. The second thing is your judgment of others. Every person you meet, you judge. And you even keep a file on them by how they appear. They're like this. They always do this. I know how this is going to go. Things like that. So when they stand in front of you, you don't really see them. You see your file on them. The people closest to you, those are the ones you know the least. Imagine if you only knew the past, if you knew the past, the future of your spouse. You don't know them that way because with them you have built, I would say, the thickest file. You build the most fixed conclusions about them. You're taking them for granted. And every time they show up, you don't see who they are today. You see who you decided they were going to be. If you really want to know the other person as they are today, you need a hollow and empty mind first. When the mind becomes hollow and empty, it becomes like a mirror. A clean mirror reflects exactly what's in front of you. For example, Swami Vivekananda described the chitta, the mind field, as a lake. The vrittis, the thoughts, the judgments, the constant fluctuations. He described that as waves on the surface of the lake. When the lake is agitated, you cannot see the bottom. But when the lake is perfectly still, everything becomes visible. Your own depths. And from those depths, or the depths of the person in front of you, Patanjali says this in 4 words. It's in his Vibhuti Pada chapter, the chapter on powers. Pratyayasya parachittajñānam. That means from the content of one's own mind comes knowledge of the content of other minds. And it's not from analyzing them, or it's not coming from learning body language. It comes from your own mind. See, when your mind is still enough, what arises in it is not your own thought. It's a reflection of what is moving in their mind. Vyasa, the great Vedic commentator, he adds to this thought. He says, you may know the person's mental emotion, but not the specific object that it caused. He knows the mental emotion of, say, love, but does not know the object of love. You feel what they are carrying before you know the story behind it. The knowing arrives before the explanation does. But you know what happens is that your noisy mind immediately buries it, and you start doubting yourself. No, they're probably fine. I know this person. They always do this. That kind of thoughts. And the signal disappears. And it says in the scripture that the hollow mind alone is not enough. there has to be something transmitting. Hridaya Chitta Samvit. By practicing Samyama on the Hridaya, complete knowledge of the Chitta is obtained. Now, let me explain that. Hridaya usually translates as heart, but not the physical organ. The anahata, the heart center, the seat of direct feeling, the place where experience lands before the mind categorizes it. The heart of the other person, their hridaya. That is the transmitter. Their real inner state. Before their face has decided what to show, the heart knows. And their heart is already broadcasting it. So, when your mind is hollow enough, it becomes the mirror that receives that broadcast. Their heart speaks to your mirror. In that mirror, their chitta becomes visible. Their consciousness becomes visible. This is how a true guru does it. By approaching the person with their mind so still that the other person's heart just speaks to him. And they know. They know it without being told. So how do you get into this state? Through what Patanjali calls a practice called Samyama. Trayam Ekatra Samyama. That translates to these three together in one place, which is dharana, concentration. Dharana is fixing awareness steadily on one point. The second is dhyana, or meditation. That same awareness flowing in an unbroken stream towards its object. And then samadhi, absorption. Samadhi happens, the boundary between the observer and what is being observed dissolves, and there is only direct contact. This has to be experienced, and Samyama is not something you force. The thing is, the moment you try to read someone, you've already broken the practice. You've already broken it. And trying to read someone is a vritti, a fluctuation of the mind. And wanting to read someone is like a wave on the surface of the lake. Samyama is what happens when the mind becomes naturally settled enough that awareness flows without any friction, without agenda, and without the noise of the self, of the ego. When you direct that toward a person, in that state, knowledge simply arises, because you become the kind of stillness that truth falls into. And what you come to know in that state is not their name, not their background, or not even their story. You know their inner self. You know what they're actually feeling. You know the quality of what they're carrying right now. And because of that, the past that shaped them becomes visible to you. The wound that formed this particular pattern becomes visible. And the future becomes visible also as the natural consequence of who they are right now. You can tell. Your intuitive ability through Samyama, through the daily stilling of the mind, increases to the point where you can know a person just like that. Takes practice, but in seconds. Their soul, what they are really moving through, what they need, where they are heading. This power is called Prapti. So, what is the actual practice? First, know your own field. Sit every day, 10 to 15 minutes. Watch what arises in your own mind. Don't try to control it. Just watching. You see, you have to know what your own mental programming feels like before you can recognize when something arises in you that is not yours. You recognize it only if you know your own. Second thing is empty before you enter, before you meet anyone. Take 2 slow breaths. Set down all your judgments and your file. And say to yourself internally, I don't know this person right now. Let me see who they are today. And the third thing is to listen from the heart, not the head. Drop your awareness into your chest and rest there. Rest there while the conversation happens. Notice what you feel and not what you think. What shifts in you when they speak? What opens? What contracts? Your heart is receiving their inner state. It's receiving faster than your mind can process their words. Trust that. And the fourth is to hold what arises before naming it. When something surfaces in you, in the presence of another person, hold it and ask yourself, is this mine or is this arriving from them? Don't project your thoughts because your thoughts are tied to your own story. The true reading arrives without argument. It arrives like a knowing. So learn to recognize the difference there. And beneath all of this, daily meditation, every day. The lake gets stiller, the mirror gets cleaner. Pratyayasya parachittajñānam. Pratyayasya parachittajñānam. That means, from the content of your mind, when it's still enough, when it's hollow enough, comes knowledge of the content of other minds. Your own first, and then theirs. The hollow mind is the mirror. The other person's heart is the transmitter. Samyama is a state that makes the mirror clean. And what is reflected in that mirror is not something you figured out. It's something you received. If this helped you, share it with one person who would need it. And if you want to know what's written in your own Vedic astrology chart, what karmas you're working with, what your nature actually is, I do personal Vedic chart reading. Come to Jyotisakti.com. The link is in the description. And if you haven't read the book, The Enterprising Yogi, or Find Your Dharma, those are there on my website as well. See you in the next one. Namaste.